The people who live near Fort Knox have heard pretty much all the conspiracy theories.
Who would have taken the gold?
As far as the missing gold, I don't know. I don't have anything to do with that.
About the federal facility at the heart of town where a huge chunk of the country's gold supply is stored.
Fort Knox, the legendary fortress synonymous with security, is supposed to hold a significant portion of the United States gold reserves. Yet a storm of controversy has reignited age-old suspicions. The phrase, "as secure as Fort Knox," is ingrained in American culture, a testament to its reputation as an impenetrable stronghold. However, recent claims by President Donald Trump and tech billionaire Elon Musk have thrown the assumption into question. They insist the gold reserves, amounting to hundreds of billions of dollars, may not be there at all. The mystery of Fort Knox's missing gold.
He's now making a promise to find out once and for all. Is the gold still there?
We're actually going to Fort Knox to see if the gold is there, because maybe somebody stole the gold. Tons of gold. Wouldn't that be terrible if we opened it up and there was no gold there?
If the gold isn't there, we're going to be very upset.
The origins of Fort Knox's status as a national treasure trove stretch back to the 1930s, when the U.S. sought a safe place to store its vast gold reserves. The facility, officially known as the United States Bullion Depository, was completed in 1937, constructed with layers of granite and steel to deter any possible intrusion. Over the decades, it became the depository for an immense quantity of gold, peaking at nearly 650 million ounces during World War II. Yet, despite its significance, the public has been given few glimpses inside. In 1974, the U.S. Treasury allowed a rare visit by journalists and lawmakers, an event meant to quell conspiracy theories that the gold had vanished. Cameras captured glistening stacks of bullion, confirming that something golden was indeed stored within its walls. However, critics argue that this highly controlled event proved little, as those present weren't allowed to verify the authenticity or quantity of the gold. Since then, Fort Knox has remained mostly off-limits, fueling suspicions that something may not be right. The last major visit came in 2017, when then Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and a handful of officials toured the facility. Photographs surfaced of Mnuchin handling gold bars, yet his own words did little to dispel doubts. Quote, "The gold was there when I visited it," he said, adding, "I hope nobody's moved it." While Mnuchin seemed convinced, skeptics, including Trump and Musk, point to the lack of a full audit as a glaring issue. Trump and Musk sound the alarm.
We're also going to Fort Knox. I'm going to go with Elon. And would anybody like to join us? Because we want to see if the gold is still there. We want to see. I don't know how the hell we're going to measure it, but that's okay. We want to see lots of nice, beautiful, shiny gold in Fort Knox.
President Trump has never shied away from questioning the status quo, and his suspicions about Fort Knox are no exception. In a recent speech, he claimed, quote, "We have found hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fraud, and we've just started. We're actually going to Fort Knox to see if the gold is there, because maybe somebody stole the gold, tons of gold." Elon Musk, known for his provocative takes on social media, amplified the concern with a post on X. Quote, "Who is confirming that gold wasn't stolen from Fort Knox? Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. That gold is owned by the American public. We want to know if it's still there." He later joked on a podcast that the bars could be spray-painted lead, a comment that, while made in jest, resonated with those already skeptical of the official narrative. The idea that Fort Knox might not contain what the government claims isn't new, but Trump and Musk's influence has brought renewed attention to the issue. Some members of Congress, including Senator Ted Cruz, have expressed support for a new audit, while others, like Senator Lindsey Graham, dismiss the concerns outright. Theories surrounding missing gold.
It might be foreign currency reserves, it might be gold reserves, and this increases the confidence that the dollar is sound.
Among those who believe something is amiss, several theories have taken hold. The most extreme suggests that Fort Knox never held any gold to begin with and was simply a ruse to project financial stability. More commonly, skeptics believe the gold was gradually sold off to foreign buyers or used to secretly pay down national debts. Others argue that what remains inside the vault is not pure gold at all, but gold-plated tungsten bars. The idea of gold-plated tungsten originated in 2009 when counterfeit bars surfaced in China, some allegedly linked to U.S. sources. Since tungsten has a similar density to gold, it can be coated with a thin layer of real gold and still pass a basic weight test. Though no evidence directly ties such counterfeits to Fort Knox, some believe this deception could be widespread. A more practical explanation is that the gold remains in the depository, but is significantly less than reported. With an official reserve of 147.3 million ounces, valued at around $330 billion, Fort Knox's holdings represent only a fraction of the U.S. national debt, which exceeds $28 trillion. If portions of the gold were discreetly moved or repurposed, it wouldn't make much difference in covering debts. The challenges of an audit.
Fort Knox is one of the most secure places in this country, so I am 100% sure that the gold is there.
Calls for a new audit have been met with resistance, mainly due to logistical and financial concerns. Unlike a standard bank inspection, verifying Fort Knox's gold would be an expensive and time-consuming process. A thorough audit would require extensive manpower, including trained professionals, to handle and test the bars. Estimates suggest it would take 18 months and over 44,000 man-hours to complete, with costs running into the millions. Each bar would need to be weighed, tested for purity, and cataloged, a process that the government has been reluctant to undertake. Additionally, security concerns make an audit difficult. Fort Knox is guarded by the U.S. Mint police and military personnel, with strict protocols in place to prevent unauthorized access. Even for high-ranking officials, access is granted sparingly, which is why figures like Musk and Trump would face challenges in arranging an independent review. Historical precedents.
We hope everything's fine with Fort Knox, but we're going to go to Fort Knox, the fabled Fort Knox, to make sure the gold is there.
Where would the gold have gone?
If the gold isn't there, we're going to be very upset.
Concerns over Fort Knox's gold reserves are not without precedent. Throughout history, there have been instances where national gold reserves have mysteriously vanished or been manipulated for political and financial gain. During the 1930s, as part of FDR's efforts to stabilize the economy, the U.S. government forcibly confiscated privately held gold through Executive Order 6102, consolidating vast amounts of bullion into government-controlled reserves, including Fort Knox. While this move was meant to secure economic stability, it also sparked skepticism, with some questioning whether the full extent of the confiscated gold was properly accounted for. Internationally, the case of Nazi gold after World War II presents another cautionary tale. The German Reich looted gold from occupied countries and deposited large quantities in Swiss banks. Much of this was later recovered by Allied forces, but questions persist about whether all of it was properly returned to rightful owners. Similarly, during the fall of the Soviet Union, massive amounts of gold reserves allegedly disappeared, with some officials believing it was secretly transferred to foreign accounts. The political and financial stakes.
I think people know is not in the building that is seen, but it's actually beneath the ground. There are very serious processes that have to be conducted to get people both in and out of there. And what we saw was a lot of gold. It is segregated into different areas. It's not all in one big pile. But back to your question about, do I think people should want an audit? Yes, they should. This is our money. It's your money. It's my money. It's the American people's money. So sure, let's audit it. Let's look at it. If I were the president, I'd want to go in there.
Beyond speculation and intrigue, the issue of Fort Knox's gold reserves carries significant political and financial implications. If the gold is missing or partially depleted, the repercussions could be severe, shaking global confidence in the U.S. financial system. Gold has long been a symbol of economic stability, backing national currencies and serving as a hedge against inflation. Although the United States formally abandoned the gold standard in 1971, the presence of a massive gold reserve still holds psychological and economic weight in global markets. If a future audit revealed discrepancies, it could trigger a financial crisis, with investors losing faith in the dollar's strength. This could lead to market instability, inflation concerns, and questions about whether the U.S. government has been less than forthcoming about its economic reserves. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think there's any truth to the theory that some of Fort Knox's gold is missing? Let us know in the comments section below.